If you hear a ruckus, turn on your lights, keep your guard up, 'cause you never know, there just might be a gremlin nearby. Hello, YouTubers of the world. I am the Vigilante, and welcome to another edition of Mega Halloween Mixer. And just like I promised you all, I would return with a review on the sequel of Gremlins, Gremlins 2, called The New Batch. And must I say, guys, while I will say that I like the first one more than this one had a special uniqueness that still made me like it. And then the fact that they broke the fourth wall very much. And they made these gremlins go wild like they always do, but in a more funny, creative way. As this time, they didn't just cause destruction around a town. Instead, it was in a single building that was almost like a town with different floors. And yet, I really would have liked to have seen what would have been like, because this time it took place not in a small town, but within New York City. Yes. So I would have loved to see what would happen if those gremlins had made it out of the building and gone around New York City. Let's face it, when it comes to movie making, I think that might have cost a lot more budgets and stuff. But that's besides the point. In this movie, like I said, these gremlins terrorize a town owned by a big company, man, who has all sorts of things going on around there. And it is there that the four returning cast members. You have Billy, his girlfriend, and then a friend of his who is an expert with gremlins. I am sorry, I can't remember the man's name. And then Gizmo himself, who this time, after being left alone after his Chinese owner dies, he ends up being sent to the same place where Billy works, and it is there they are reunited. But unfortunately, just like always, sometimes we get careless, and in that carelessness, Gizmo multiplies more of him, and this time, some of them look different than others, such as the new stripes, as he is black instead, and doesn't take long for them to start eating and start terrorizing and stuff. And yes, quite a terrorization it is, as you have some of them messing with chemicals in a chemical lab. One ends up becoming a brain smart person. One becomes a vegetable gremlin. And then you got one that turns into a female gremlin. But most iconic of all, one becomes a bat. And we even get the Batman symbol. And it even makes its way out into the city, but soon ends up becoming a stone statue. How ironic is that? And how funny it is. But I find it even more interesting and funny how, as things went on, one of them ended up becoming pure electric energy, which is later on used in the climax of the film, as Billy, who is the only one, along with his girlfriend, to know anything about him, at first warns people until they don't listen. But luckily, eventually, they figure out what he's talking about. And it is through that Billy, with his knowledge, along with his friends, work together to defeat these gremlins. But hey, do not count out Gizmo either. Gizmo, oh, must I say, Gizmo, you really surprised me in this movie, as you were getting pushed around by your gremlin brothers, but it got to the point so much that you decided to go full on Rambo. Why do I say Rambo? Well, because Gizmo is a fan of Rambo, as shown at the beginning of the film. And after getting tired of all this pushing around and going way too far, inspired by Rambo, he becomes war. He creates weapons of his own to get revenge on his torturers who tortured him throughout this entire movie. And Gizmo, I love it. I love what I saw with you. I love that aggression. That is what makes you a true bad boy, but in a good way. Just like me. All's the same though, people. The fourth wall breaking on some of the stuff, such as with Hulk Hogan showing up, or them talking to the camera, interrupting things. You would think You would think some of that might be disturbing, and it is, but it's in a funny way. Yes, this movie may not have been as impactful as the first one, but it had its good spots, as it would, as these gremlins, like always, go running amuckus and everything else. But as I said at the end of the film, Billy used that electric energy gremlin to destroy them by cleverly using their strength against them. It's like that old saying goes, one's greatest strength is their greatest weakness. As as the water is used on them, which as you know makes these gremlins multiply. But hey, water conducts electricity, so what better way to destroy them than by using water and the electric energy of that gremlin? Oh, it was an interesting way to end things. And yes, it all ends with a happy after sort of deal. Well, for some of them at least. Let's just say at the end, one person had a little thing with the feminine gremlin, but I suggest you all go watch that yourself. But that's it for this review. And as I said, not as good as the first one, but it had its good spots, what made it still a good movie. And if I'm not mistaken, I've been hearing rumors that they plan to make an actual sequel after all these years. And if they do, I am all in. I am very curious to see. Will they use practical effects or what will they do? What kind of story will they make when they bring the gremlins back? It's enticing. I can't wait for that day to come. Until then, though, if you all are enjoying my video, then I ask that you click that like button, do just subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to be notified of when Vigilante will be making his next Mega Halloween Mixer video. And until then, have a good night.